What if Jesus had an Instagram profile? What if his parables were told amidst likes, notifications, and algorithms? Would he use memes? Or maybe a live stream? It may seem absurd at first glance, but think for a moment the stories Jesus told. 2,000 years ago were shaped by the dusty streets of Palestine, by vineyards, fields, and fishermen. So, what would it be like if he spoke to us today in the heart of a fast-paced, hyper-connected digital society? Perhaps the Good Samaritan was a delivery driver. Perhaps the seed fell not on the ground, but on social media feeds. Perhaps eternal truths took on a new form, but the same transformative essence. In this video, we'll explore a thought-provoking possibility. What if Jesus' parables were reshaped for the 21st century? Prepare to see old truths with new eyes, and perhaps rediscover the power of a good story. The parable of the digital Good Samaritan. Imagine a fallen man, not on a Jericho road, but on a timeline. His cries are not heard by travelers, but cast to the wind in a desperate tweet, an Instagram photo, a forgotten group message. He was canceled, humiliated, a victim of cyberbullying. And now he's there, invisible, wounded, exposed to everyone, but ignored by almost everyone. In the original story, a priest passed by, a Levite, both perhaps too busy, too pure, too occupied with their religious obligations to get involved. Today, these characters could be people too preoccupied with their own online image. Influencers who preach empathy but don't practice it. Spiritual leaders with thousands of followers who don't respond to the pain that bleeds silently in the comments. And then, someone unlikely arrives. He has no verification badge. He's not followed by crowds. Perhaps he even has a questionable past. But when he sees that man, he stops. He listens. He reaches out heaven, if only virtually. He blocks the attackers, offers words of comfort, shares support, sends real help. This is the new Samaritan. Digital, yes, but deeply human. Jesus told the parable to ask us, who is our neighbor? Today, the question echoes in a different tone. Who is your neighbor amidst the avalanche of voices, screens, and distractions? Perhaps true love for our neighbor in the 21st century isn't found in speeches or posts, but in the courage to stop in the face of another's pain. Even if it's just a cry for help hidden among emojis and hashtags, would you have stopped? The lost sheep in the algorithm in Jesus' day. A lost sheep was a real threat to survival. 1 in 100, vulnerable, far from the flock. But for the shepherd, she was worth the effort, the difficult path, the search until he found her. Now imagine this, in the 21st century, a young woman walks away, not physically but digitally. She's connected but alone. Immersed in comparisons, unrealistic expectations, filters that hide her pain. The algorithm doesn't favor her. Her content doesn't go viral. Her outbursts are ignored. Little by little, she disappears. She's lost. Among so many in the eyes of the world, perhaps she's not missed, just another profile, another forgotten account. But, in the eyes of the shepherd, she's still unique. Jesus said that the good shepherd leaves the 99 to seek the one who is lost. Today, this search isn't done with a staff and sandals. Perhaps it's done with empathy, with an unexpected message, with someone who says, I see you, you matter, I'm here. How many faces do you see each day? How many are truly present? And how many are lost? Even when they seem active, happy, and successful, the parable of the lost sheep in the digital age is a call to sensitivity. Because modern loss doesn't scrim it silent. It hides behind smiles, stories, and purchased likes. And the true shepherd, he still seeks, he still finds. He still carries on his shoulders those everyone has forgotten. Could you be that sheep? Or perhaps someone called to seek it? He didn't ask for his inheritance in silver coins. He received it in the form of early freedom, a digital credit card, a cell phone in his hand, and the world just a tap away. He didn't need to leave home to leave. He left little by little inside his own room through screens, distractions, easy promises of pleasure, and instant acceptance. The prodigal son of the 21st century didn't end up in a distant land. He ended up in the silent chaos of sleepless nights, of anxiety disguised by short videos, of identity lost in filters and comparisons. He wanted to live, but ended up just surviving. If before the faraway land was a geographic location, today, it's a state of mind. It's where you're surrounded by everything but feel nothing, where you collect followers, but have no one to tell your fears to. The new prodigal son spent everything, not on parties or prostitutes, but on fame, status, and immediate pleasures, until he was left with nothing, only the echo of his own voice in a world that had already lost interest. And then, in the silence of abandonment, he remembers. Not a home, but a time when he was loved without having to perform. A father who didn't demand applause, just presence. A place where it was possible to be flawed on, still be welcomed. He rises, not with shame, not with hope. He imagines disapproval. He expects closed doors. He prepares excuses. But when he is still far away, the father runs. He doesn't cancel him. He doesn't humiliate him. He embraces. He restores. He celebrates. This parable still lives. It happens in conversations between parents and children who no longer know how to look at each other, in reunions between wounded young people and the faith that once seemed too distant, in hearts that remember where they came from and have the courage to return. And you? Are you far away? Or do you know someone who has been? The father is still waiting, with his eyes on the road, with his heart open, and the party hasn't begun yet. Because you're missing, Dot, and now I ask you, have you ever felt like this modern-day prodigal son? Or do you know someone who is in this emotional and spiritual faraway land? Share your story or reflection in the comments. Your experience might touch someone who is exactly at this point in their journey. It was early morning, and the apps were already beeping. Ride-hailing, drivers, food delivery people, digital freelancers, all connected, looking for an opportunity. Some started the day early, while the sky was still dark. Others only managed to get in later. Cell phone problems, a sick child, no internet, but everyone was waiting for a chance. In Jesus' time, workers waited in the squares. Under the sun, they waited to be called to pick grapes, plow the land, tend the crops. Those who arrived early were guaranteed the day's work. Those who arrived late often returned empty-handed. But in the parable, the owner of the vineyard does something unexpected. He also calls those who were at the last minute, and he pays them the same amount, a denarius, a fair wage. Enough to live on. Today, this scene repeats itself with new elements. Today, the field is virtual, the vineyard is in apps, and judgment is instantaneous. Why pay the same to those who worked less? Why reward those who arrived late in the afternoon? In the 21st century, the logic of merit screams, but the logic of the kingdom surprises. God doesn't measure effort based on length of service. He looks at the heart. He sees intention. He rewards with grace, not meritocracy. Perhaps you are someone who has been on the journey of faith since the beginning. You grew up in the church, you know the texts, you serve with dedication. Or perhaps you've only just arrived, after a lifetime away, repentant, broken, late. The parable of the last-minute workers is a reminder. It doesn't matter when you arrive. It matters that you came. It also confronts the pride of the first, those who expected more, who thought they were better, who forgot that everything, even the opportunity to work, was a gift. In the kingdom, the time of arrival doesn't define value, because the reward is the same for everyone. The presence of the Lord, a life that never ends, a love that cannot be bought. And you, are you at the beginning of the day, or have you just arrived? The invitation is still open. The field still needs hands, and the owner of the vineyard is still calling. Now tell me, which worker do you most identify with in this parable? Have you ever felt like someone who arrived too late? Or perhaps like someone who thought they deserved more? Leave your comment. Your story can make all the difference to someone still waiting to be called. A man went out to sow, but this time, not in the dirt fields, nor in the valleys of Galilee. He opened his cell phone, clicked post, and launched his message into the vast digital realm. The word was not written on parchment, but in captions. It wasn't heard in synagogues, but in short videos. The new sower was an ordinary person, but he carried eternal seeds. As in Jesus' parable, the seeds fell on different types of soil. Some fell by the wayside in the feeds of those who were just scrolling, distracted, numb. People who saw but didn't absorb. People who enjoyed without reading, or who passed by profound truths, like someone ignoring a whisper in the middle of a noisy concert. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, in hearts touched momentarily, but without roots. People who commented amen on impulse, but forgot the video minutes later. People who were moved by a phrase, but didn't let it transform their lives. Emotion without depth, interest without surrender. Some seeds still fell among the thorns in profiles, overwhelmed by opinions, social pressures, and existential crises. Hearts so suffocated by anxiety, fear, and self-sufficiency that the message had no room to grow. Faith sprouted, but was soon crushed by the rush of everyday life and the noise of the world. But there is also fertile soil. Hearts that listen with hunger, that stop to reflect, that share not out of obligation, but out of identification. People who let the message take root, break through the concrete, and flourish even amidst the digital chaos. It is in this soil that the word bears fruit, sometimes 30, sometimes 60, sometimes 100 to 1 dot in the 21st century. The mission field is vast, but algorithms do not favor the wheat. The truth can get lost amid dances, gossip, and controversy. But the sower continues to sow, because he knows all it takes is one seed to fall in the right place, and an entire life can blossom. And you, what kind of soil has your heart been these days? What have you been doing with the seeds you receive? Gnawing them, feeling them, stifling them, or cultivating them? Share in the comments how this parable connects with your life. At what point did you realize the word found real space within? Your testimony could be the seed that will blossom in someone else's heart. He had it all: a luxury apartment, international travel, designer clothes, a growing following. His life was a series of achievements: a new car, a new launch, a new brand. He woke up early, produced content, invested, accumulated, applauded, envied, imitated. He was what the world called successful. But one night, after yet another post showing off his new acquisition, he looked up at the ceiling and felt a strange emptiness, a restlessness that success couldn't silence. That's when he heard a voice, not with his ears, but with his spirit. "You fool, this night your soul will be required of you. And whose will those things be which you have prepared?" In Jesus' parable, the rich man also thought about expanding his barns, saving more, living in peace. But God called him foolish, not because he was rich, but because he was blind to eternity, blind to the fragility of life, blind to the fact that, in the end, nothing we possess can last. Not money, not status, not applause. In the 21st century, this parable resonates even more strongly. We live in the age of digital ostentation. Showing off is worth more than being. Appearance trumps substance. Many live to build the perfect image. While the soul withers in silence, there is no sin in prospering. There is no wrong in celebrating achievements. But there is danger when this becomes the focus, when we forget that everything is temporary, that life is a breath, and that no bank balance can buy us an extra second of existence. Jesus warns us, "So is he who lays up treasure for himself, but is not rich toward God." Being rich before God isn't about having, it's about being. It's about living with purpose. It's about investing in what lasts. It's about remembering that who we are before him is more important than what we show. The world, what about you? Have you been building barns or bridges? Has your life been guided by vanity or meaning? Share in the comments. At what point did you realize you needed to reevaluate your priorities? How does this parable speak to you in the world we live in today? Your reflection could be the beginning of someone's change. They were followed, admired, commented on, their posts reached thousands. They were called references, the voice of the generation. 10 influencers, all with their rings of light, well-written scripts, and sharp speeches. But there was a difference that wasn't evident in the stories. Jesus told a parable about 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom. They all had lamps, but only 5 had enough oil. The others, trusting in appearance, structure, and excitement, were not prepared when the bridegroom arrived. In the 21st century, the lamps are visible: charisma, talent, engagement. But the oil is invisible. Its character, its life with God in secret, its intimacy cultivated outside the spotlight. It's what doesn't go viral, but sustains. The 10 influencers were waiting for a big opportunity the moment they would be seen, recognized, called, but its arrival was sudden. Those who had oil were ready. Those who didn't ran to get it. But it was too late. The door closed. Today, many are preparing for the stage, but few are ready for the bridegroom. Content culture teaches us to impress, but the kingdom calls us to prepare. The end of likes won't be the end of the world. It will be the beginning of eternity. And at that moment, only one thing will matter. Was there oil? The parable confronts us. How often do we worry about the brightness of the lamp, but ignore the oil that keeps it burning? How often do we seek recognition, but forget about vigilance, waiting, and faithfulness? Being prudent today means living like someone who knows the bridegroom could arrive at any moment. It's keeping the flame burning even when there are no likes or applause. It's guarding your heart and, not just your feed, and you. Do you have enough oil for the time of waiting, or are you living only on the appearance of light? Share in the comments. What do you understand by oil in your journey with God? Do you feel prepared, or are you still chasing? Your answer may inspire others to look within before the door closes. Imagine this. A notification appears on the world screen. Live broadcast starting now. It's not a reality show, not a new scandal, nor the revelation of some political secret. It's the end of all curtains, the day when all artificial lights go out, and only one light remains lit. The final judgment is no longer a distant metaphor, but a universal live stream. Each person faces the truth, uncut, unedited, unfiltered. Everything that was said in secret is now revealed. Everything that was hidden behind the scenes of the soul is now in plain sight. The stage is global, the audience is eternal, and the judge is just. Jesus said that on that day he will separate one from another as a shepherd separates sheep from goats, not for fame, not for followers, not for digital influence, but for something simple. I was hungry, and you fed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was in prison, and you visited me. And those on the right will ask, but when Lord, he will say, when did they do this to one of the least of these? In the century of performance, judgment will be made by gestures that were not broadcast, by acts that did not generate views, by tears wiped away out of view of the camera. Algorithms will not decide who enters. Engagement will not be the criteria. What will matter is love lived in truth. It will be a day of revelations. Masks will fall, false virtues will crumble, rootless influences will crumble. But it will also be the day when forgotten gestures will be exalted. The glass of water given in silence, the hug no one saw, the forgiveness offered when everyone expected revenge, and then the live stream ends. The screen goes dark, and something begins that will never end. Are you ready for this moment? Share in the comments. If today were that day, what would you want to be by your side as a witness? What kind of life have you built away from human eyes, but before God? Your answer could be a mirror for many, and a starting point for a new beginning.